May I call on Dr. Fuad Bendimirad to please join me upstage. He's actually the project director of the Earthquakes and Megacities Initiative for this particular project, and I'm here representing Makati City Government. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My presentation is about Makati Risk-Sensitive Redevelopment Planning Project, which was undertaken with support from the German Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And our partners were the DKKV, which is the national platform for disaster risk reduction of the German government, Earthquakes and Megacities Initiative, the Philippine Volcanology Institute of the Philippines, and the Makati City Government. By way of introduction, I'd like to show you a slide which shows that the Philippines is prone to all sorts of natural hazards, typhoons, but for this particular project, we're particularly focusing on earthquakes. So as you can see, the Philippines has 7,100 islands. It's within the Pacific Rim of Fire and has several active faults and trenches, one of which is the West Valley Fault System, which transects several cities and municipalities in metropolitan Manila. And for this particular project, we are focusing on Makati City, which is the financial center of the Philippines. The Metro Manila Earthquake Impact Reduction Study was conducted from 2002 to 2004, and this was undertaken with support by JICA, the Metro Manila Development Authority, and FIVOX. They produced several scenarios, and one of which is the Model 8, which is really the worst-case scenario, and if a 7.2 earthquake magnitude hits Metro Manila, then they projected what's going to be the casualties, damages, etc. So this is the projected damage, structural impacts, and human impacts. 13% of the total buildings in residential buildings or structures would be heavily damaged. Government buildings, 8 to 10%, and then destroyed, and 20 to 25%. Some of the ports would be damaged, and also significant damage to water, power, and communication infrastructure. For human impacts, casualties from building collapse would be 335,000 people, and secondary fire casualties, 18,000, and injuries, 114. So this is now the area, Makati City. As you can see, there'll be less damages because Makati is just a part of the greater metropolitan Manila area. Makati is the financial district and 500,000 population, but during the day, it rises to about 4 million. It's actually where most of the financial and big businesses are located, including the embassies, the consulates, and international organizations, so that if we are hit by the 7.2 magnitude, you can just imagine its effect on the entire country. So Barangay Rizal is the pilot area. Its population is 39,580. We just took several zones, zone 7, 8, 9, and 10. The description of this particular barangay or village is, for its physical and socioeconomic characteristics, there's very high unemployment, low household income, and 50% of the buildings are occupied by multiple households. So as you can see, they've been put up there without the necessary building permits because this area used to be a military camp. And the local government at that time didn't have much say over this government lands which are administered by other entities of government. The race-sensitive land use redevelopment plan was conducted from 2008 to 2010, and it basically identified the socioeconomic and capacity-related vulnerabilities of the local community to earthquakes. Its objectives was, of course, to introduce interventions that would enhance the resiliency of the identified community and hopefully for us to be able to replicate this best practice in other areas, not only in the city but also in other adjoining municipalities. As you can see, the vulnerabilities and problems in the area are unsafe buildings and structures, limited circulation and access, lack of open spaces and parks for recreational and emergency use, inadequate management capacity in terms of emergency management and response, and lack of financial resources and economic opportunities to prepare for recovery from disasters. This is a 2-year project, and as you can see in the picture, there were so many meetings conducted starting from community consultations, visioning exercises, vulnerability assessment, building and lifeline inventory, where we utilized several engineers from the city government who worked with the academia from the University of the Philippines, accompanied by local people, and also a disaster town watching and plotting of negative and positive spots in the area. So I'm not going to go over the workshops that took place, but as you can see from this picture, there were several seminars and workshops conducted to sensitize the people and to allow them to plan for this particular redevelopment project. Key interventions that were identified and, well, of course, agreed upon among the stakeholders was the establishment of a fault zone park, retrofitting of highly vulnerable structures and implementation of development and density controls, improvement of the existing traffic circulation within the area, the establishment of a linear park along the creek easement and open spaces per neighborhood, the installation of an early warning system, creation of an evacuation plan, disaster training and seminars, and construction of multi-purpose centers for not only recreation but also for temporary shelters. And finally, the conduct of livelihood and skills enhancement programs and the promotion of business and entrepreneurship to develop the local commercial centers. For the immediate 1 to 5 years, they're looking at establishing linear parks along the creeks. At the moment, there are still some informal settlers occupying these creeks, but eventually they're going to be provided with relocation, and so that we could build or construct these linear parks and roads. For road widening and connections, the city government has already identified several properties for expropriation so that there could be additional access roads leading to the main roads for purposes of evacuation. 6 to 10 years, construction of medium-rise housing, the expansion of the schools, and the establishment of commercial areas, and also construction of multi-purpose centers and neighborhood open spaces. Finally, for the long term, we're looking at the establishment of a fault zone park, which is basically to move out all of the structures and the people who are living on top of the fault line, 5 meters on both sides. And the construction of medium-rise housing either along the or near the fault zone park or near the creeks. Our way forward is, the other adjoining barangays would really want to do their own redevelopment planning for the areas that are traversed by the fault line. So in the future, we'll be working with several other villages, West Rembo, East Rembo, Comembo, Pembo, and most likely the other cities would also be replicating this particular planning exercise. So that ends my presentation. If you have questions, I'm sorry. There's a final slide here, and these are the lessons learned. The conduct of community consultations and result in project is taking longer than expected, but it also increases the likelihood of success. The support of the community was gained through participation and consultation, which also provided unique insights on the project site and increased local awareness and understanding of disasters. The undertaking of such a project would not be possible without the involvement of partners providing technical, financial, and personal support. So for technical support, we relied heavily on the Earthquakes and Megacities Initiative, which is a scientific organization dealing with disaster risk reduction in megacities, and also the academia, the University of the Philippines and the Philippine Institute of Volcanology. For financial support, the German government, like I said, provided some funding with counterpart from the local government of Makati City. The methodology used by the project can be replicated and adopted in other highly vulnerable communities, taking into consideration the socioeconomic condition of the stakeholders. So this is our mayor. I'd like to cite a few paragraphs from sentences from his quote. We know that advanced planning and preparation is the best way to minimize, if not totally eliminate, the impact of disasters on members of our communities, our properties, and our economies. We realize that our ability to mitigate the effects of disasters on our city will impact positively not only on the safety of both our resident community and our private sector, but on the national economy as well. So for contact details, and if you would like to learn more about the project, these are our email addresses. Thank you so much. We've run out of time, so I don't think we'll be able to entertain any questions. Thank you so much.